general family viewing.
Hello, viewer. Welcome to Chungu Cha Jamii. My name is Betty. I am your host today, and I'm so glad that I am joined by a professor. We are going to be discussing a very, very important meeting, and that discussion is on turning talents into livelihood. At this time, I want to give the professor time to introduce himself before we take up this discussion. Welcome, Prof.
Thank you very much indeed, Betty and the crew at GBS. First, I'm very excited to be back on GBS. I've been a regular there for some time until I went back to the United States. And I want to apologize to the viewers that I was not able to come to the studio in person, but I'm sure when I get back to Nairobi, I should be able to do that. Right now, I'm at a place called County. That's my rural home. My name is Humphrey Bora. The professor is what I am as a qualification. And I'm the current World Talent Federation's General and CEO. I also am the president of the African Federation for the Gifted and Talented, which is a branch of the World Talent Federation in Africa. To just wrap it all up, our mission in the world is to find gifted people. There is a marked difference when I say gifted and when I say talented. For the information of the audience, every human has a talent. Only about 15% of the world population can be described as gifted. So into the show, after the introduction, I will spend time to make people understand the meaning of talent. I know in Africa, I know in Kenya, our people think talent is sport, music, comedy, and the like. Those are just exhibited opportunities of talent, just in layman's language examples. So I will take my time to make sure that we understand what talent means so that as we move along, we can be able to know how best to find someone's talent. Then what can we do with that we found? And why then it can explain that Africa, rich with all the resources, is not at the forefront of everything in the world today. So we should be able to explain that.
Wow. Excellent. That is really comprehensive, Prof. Thank you for that elaborate introduction. I am glad that I am sitting here also as one of your students today. I'm going to be learning a lot, not just thinking that talent is music and sports and the like, as you have put it. To start with, I will give you time straight away to tell us what talent is, because many of us think that talent is what you just discredited.
Thank you. Just to add on top of what I started earlier, many people rely on their interest, their passions, their competence, and they mix it up like a myth with talent. Betty, let me tell you, every human is designed by God in a unique manner, and you're built with your own unique metric values. So you as a human, you have your metric values. Make it simple. You have your own measurements. A human with metric values, those metric values, in our language, they are called genes, from the word gene. So talent even is measurable. It has a unit called a gene. So God planted in each person unique metric values, and those unique metric values is what we call talent. It's like saying, Betty, if I have your measurements and your house, I'll build you the way I want. 4-bedroom, story building, isn't it? Now, when we talk about human structure, we talk about symptoms too. Just like if you are sick, that means your metric values do have problems. It will give indications. For example, you'll cough, you'll have a headache, you'll have fever. But when we have fever in Africa, we say it is malaria. The sickness is malaria. And what most of our people do, especially the ladies like you, Betty, nowadays you become doctors. You know all the medicines off the counter from the chemist. And you rely on what your mom used and what your grandma used.
Yes.
And we generally think they'll work. And that has been done over and over in Africa, that most sicknesses are known by heart, by guesswork.
Yes.
And when we use guesswork, we use symptoms. Symptoms are the ones being used. So the symptoms we use in talent to make our guesswork are like interest. So when you're in school, you're told, do what today, every parent, because I've done a 24-hour campaign, a 24-year campaign about talent in Africa. I've been fought, I've been called fake, bogus, and many things have been called when I started. Because they relied on the myth. When somebody tells you in school, go for your interest. Hey, how do you go for your interest? Very interesting. Follow your passion. Betty, how do you follow your passion? And today,
you discover it.
Strange. Today, the government of the Republic of Kenya, through benchmarking, which is also called copying and plagiarism, has come up with a symptom-based learning known as competence-based curriculum. What is competence? Competence you can't measure. It's an outcome. It's an indicator that you are capable of doing something. Just the same as if I have fever, certainly I could have malaria. Unfortunately, symptoms represent very many different sicknesses. The same fever would represent pneumonia, typhoid, malaria. You can now imagine if by guesswork you thought that the sickness is malaria and you've been treating malaria while the sickness is typhoid.
You went ahead and treated it.
Yes. Two things will happen. One, by adding wrong medication to your body, you'll introduce new sickness which was not there. And the old one will continue. In a week, it is too bad. You're going to hospital. It's so bad that you have to be admitted into a ward for something which would have been as simple as going for a professional assessment or a review with a good doctor instead of relying on a quack or your guesswork, knowing the correct sickness and getting the right medication. These are the problems we have in Africa, because in Africa, we still want to believe in the routines and norms of doing things. We say 40 years back, Kenya, Malaysia, Korea, Japan were at the same economic level. And we're imagining by copying that we'll catch up. How does a person who copy catch up? You can't. So now,
how do we check? Yes. How do we check talent?
Okay, let me get in there. So we need a way in which, number one, we can do things different so that they also borrow from us. To know your talent, Betty, you have to think like a sick person going to a hospital. I will analogize for you so that you understand it simply. When you're sick and you go to hospital and you arrive in there, they will open your file and get your biodata. Secondly, you'll meet a nurse who will do some triage.
Yes.
What they call medical previews or prior diagnosis. Temperature, pressure, and questions.
Yes.
When did it start? Ilianza lini? Did you take any medication? Na ulikula nini? Ulianguka? Did you fall? They'll ask you brief questions. Why do you think they do this? They want to have a background of what you could be suffering from. They cannot miraculously know your sickness. Nobody can. Next, after some time, they take the file to the doctor. The doctor won't call you in immediately because he needs to preview for 5 minutes and form an opinion about what you could be suffering from. When you arrive at the doctor, you will ask additional questions. And a good doctor will not just take a syringe and give you an injection.
No.
A good doctor will want to do further tests, order or a blood test, a stool test, or whatever test in the opinion they think is right. After the test,
possible in our country, you know, the whole of last month I was interviewing entertainers, performers, and people who do this in our country. And one of the things that stood out is they run to, you know, music, they run to acting, and they do performances. And this is what Kenyans basically call talent. And one of the major things that I also found out is that when you have failed in education, then you find yourself by default in this industry. And that makes me wonder, is entertainment and talent for the failures in school? And the other thing, there are also people who dropped out of school, maybe for, you know, many reasons, but also for lack of finance. You know, their parents weren't able to take them to school to continue to further their education. And so they find themselves out of school, and quickly they check on the side, what else can I do? I think I can sing, I can act. And so this is what people now tell them: follow this passion, pursue this interest, and you will make a living out of it.
And while they do that, it's for you, artist, so you feel like you're them. Betty, you can't have been spot on, more than spot on than I've been interviewed before. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, this confusion is going to land this country, this continent, into a very serious problem, with the youth already building up.
Yes.
There is, even in Kenya, a bad belief that if you didn't get marks good enough to take you to a university, then you go to a polytechnic. What does a point have to do with a polytechnic? You just think about it. This is how we think as a country. I finish off what I was telling you, and I will, because I deal with this many artists, many come to me. Many of them went to do things not because they are having any talent in it, but because somebody said there's money in there. Anywhere where there's money, people will run today. But let me finish off and get you what will get us back to what we should be doing, including politicians and their politics. I'll get you where we need to go. Now, I was telling you about a hospital. Now I want to take you back to learning. And our talent comes to analogize with that. So once your report comes from the test,
yes,
you get a medical report describing you and how your physique is and your clinical values. Remember, when you go to a test, the results come, don't say your sickness. They bring your values. It is the doctor that too many white blood cells in the blood, it must be a bacterial infection. Now, let me go back to what it should mean. To know your talent, it means you have to know your God-given human metrics, which are called genus. This is what we measure. And to do that, we have 3 steps. Step 1, oral screening. Oral screening is the same as walking to that hospital, opening the file, and with the nurse asking questions. Now, pay attention to this. The questions are related to what happened during pregnancy, what happened during labor, what happened during birth, and what happened during the first 4 years. After 4 years, there's nothing new, Betty, in human. All about a human is between pregnancy and 4 years. After 4 years, just growing big. You're just enhancing communication paths, nothing else. Now listen, now pay more attention to this one. During pregnancy, there's rapid growth. And what is growth? It is only the establishment of communication paths between the body and the front lobe of the brain here, the thinking. This front part here, Betty, of your brain is divided left and right, and a semimembrane, upper and lower. All things you call interpretation of signals happen there. And all careers are in those 4 areas. The rest are called specializations. For example, interpretation by the left upper of the brain is science, lower decision making, right side, the upper side, the volcanic brain, the brain of the artist, the musician, the non-conformed. The lower part is the manual dexterity, the brain of the physical strength. So all I need to know about you as a human, when signals happen in your body, because we react to situations, which section of your brain do signals go fastest? Should they be going to the left upper, then I know you're more likely to be a scientist. Then I can now do a further analysis to find the specialization. Now, how then do I know those signals? After that oral screening, we have another stage known as psycho-screening, where now an expert...
Ask you, Prof,
Yes.
How do you do that diagnosis? How do you do the oral screening? Just talking, and what is that next stage? Because if that is the way that you have described,
Yes.
the division of the brain, talking about the upper and the lower membrane and the left and the right, and you need to know which one is active. You're able to tell whether this child is going to be a scientist or a musician, or if you're able to tell all that. First of all, I'm surprised why those things are not happening in our country, and if they're happening, I wonder where. And secondly, I wonder why so many people are in their wrong careers. And I'm also concerned about these people who run into talent, into these things we call talent that you have said are not. We run into them correctly, as you put it, that there is money in there. But as soon as we get there, we are failing and we are getting ourselves into more problems. We get depressed when things don't work. When we are not doing well, then we are out of place again. I mean, how come this diagnosis is not done?
Let me thank you, first of all, for making things sink for the viewers. There's a problem with the professor. They sometimes get carried away into the technicality. So keep bringing me down there to make sure it makes sense for the viewers. I'll try as much as possible to do so. But I want the viewers and yourself, when I finish with a little bit of the technicality, I'll be very, very down. I just wanted them to appreciate there's a science behind it. Okay?
To appreciate there's a professor in the house.
Just appreciate. Now, you asked, what are these questions? And I didn't want to dwell in them. These are questions which have been researched and redone by talent experts who are mainly psychologists. And we put them into a computer software, okay? Many of them today are even available online, okay? We can be able to do that. But don't you be tempted to think they are psychometric tests. Psychometric tests only deal with the IQ, and we have long pushed them away because they don't produce the real human. A human is complete, okay? So those questions, just to sample for you and for the benefit of the viewers. During pregnancy, if you have food cravings as a pregnant mother, it has an impact of changing the signal path of the infant. That research was done in South America. There was a person who joined them from Nigeria. It's known as paika, the non-formal eating of pregnant mothers and their impact. Some even take rocks, some nyama ya mafuta mingi, it has an impact. If that occurs, I know what I'm dealing with. Prolonged labor produces what they call signal shafts. Postpartum, preterm birth produces signal shifts. I don't want to explain what those are. Those are my sciences. You can check on my website and the details. But I will bring them all. I just wanted you to appreciate that there is a lot of research, there's a lot of work going on. So when we ask those questions, we build up a momentum to understand the human we are dealing with. We have not gotten the signals yet. At the end of it all, there is a machine. The machine is a cubicle, like a photo me booth. Remember the one who do photos before? This machine is known as anthropobiometric machine, from the word anthropology. Anthropology, isn't it? Anthropo means human, biometrics. So human measurement machine. Let me tell you what it does. When you go in less than a minute, it produces Betty minus flesh and bones. Those signals, where signals move very quickly, it paints green. Where is ish, it paints yellow. And where there are energy blockages, it paints red. So that when I have it in front of me here, I can tell, oh, for Betty, signals are more efficient on the right side of the domain and they terminate on the right upper side. With the prior diagnosis in the oral screening, those questions, and with this image, can you see how easy it is for me? Because the front brain is developed at 4 years. That's why I said 4 years. So a 4 or 5 year old kid, Betty, when you give me, you can see why I'm able to predict the career 30 years in advance.
Is that done in this country? Where can we get that?
The machine was brought in 2010 in Kenya, the first machine in Africa. Chief guest was then Prime Minister Raila Odinga, sent his deputy, Musalia Mudavadi, check our website. The entire Ministry of Education, Professor Yecho Lueng, the assistant minister, was there. Professor Harry Kane, the education, I think the manager or something, was the top person there. They were there. Several people all over Africa, countries sent them. The president of the World Talent, the vice president, the administrator, I brought them, having been the first African, Black African, to be Secretary General. And that machine was donated. It has been here in Kenya. So government knew. I was invited at Professor Douglas Odhiambo, the last review in education in this country, at then KIE, now KICD. They had the information. May God rest Professor Douglas Odhiambo's soul in eternal peace. He set out a committee to work with me. What they did in my office was not good. When I was in Istanbul, they made a visit. They were doing benchmarking. I didn't see the benchmarking. I was only told, hey, jadwangu kapa, basi kasi yetu imeisha. This is my country. And when they did not understand what I'm explaining and they couldn't benefit, people took the shortcut to CBC. You need to know this. It has been a long journey.
Wow. Okay. Professor, just right there. That's a very, very interesting news that you're bringing to our hearing. But at this point, I'm really concerned about, that machine, because if we have that machine, then, we have everything else in place. But you have mentioned something very important that I was yet to go into. I am looking at time also, and I would want the viewer to get the best out of you at their level. So this machine, you were talking about the curriculum, the CBC that now came in. Looking at our curriculum, it looks like it's all accommodative. You can actually talk about talent in it. You don't have to be an A student. We all know we cannot fit in an office. There are those that are going to get C's and D's, and this curriculum embraces all of them. And I wonder, those who are going to get D's, for lack of something tangible to do, maybe in this country, they're going to end up into, I know how to do this, and go to the polytechnics that you were talking about. Is this curriculum that sufficient? As much as it may be or not, the machine discussion may be too long for this 1 hour show today. But how effective is this curriculum, and how can it help us develop and identify our talents? And once that is done, where does it place us? Because we have actors who have been in the industry. Right now, because of age and irrelevance, they're now home, sitting on their talents and doing nothing with it. If you look at our footballers in the other countries, if you look at the likes of Messi and Ronaldo, their talents have made livelihoods for them. They eat out of it, they dress and educate their children out of it. And that is not something that happens in Africa or in this country. So these people who are laid off because they're not A-star students, where are they supposed to find themselves? What are they supposed to do with the things that they can do as extra curriculum other than just the math and the science? If everybody is going to be a professor, that's very nice. But those who cannot be, what are they? Are they useless people?
Right. Well said. Mm-hmm. Let me just put it this way. Did we need to change any curriculum? Maybe yes, maybe no. Mm-hmm. Curriculum has its own place. Academics has its place. And I will not say I should replace it.
Okay.
What we're doing is like saying hospitals have their place. Clinics have their places.
True.
But testing kits are very, very vital because they will make you do the right thing.
Yes.
So simply put, even if I had 844 and I had a way of knowing who these people would be in years to come, I would have done a better job.
Yes.
Instead of wasting billions of dollars writing a curriculum, actually recycling, because there's no new mathematics or new geography in Kenya. It's just changing the curve and people making some money. That's the truth. I know they don't like me for saying this always straight like this. I was even told.
There's no new mathematics. There's no new geography.
You tell me a new one that has come in. But we have new books and new publishing going on. That's a fact. And you don't need to be a professor to know that. But
this has changed.
You asked me.
Has that changed?
Yeah. You asked me a question. You asked me a question about young people having innate values, known as talent, and doing nothing with them. But I want to scale up your thought to adults. Adults were once young people, and some of them were potentially gifted, were either not diagnosed or were misdiagnosed. Having mental health problems. I need to set you up to something happening socially today. Today, you can hear a 70-year-old raped a 5-year-old kid. You hear strange things going on.
Yes.
When you look at the background of these people, they are gifted. Today, in committing maximum prison, somebody uses a primitive phone to steal money from a bank or from your own phone.
I hope that's not talent.
I want you to get back to understand where we are, because sometimes we complain, but we've forgotten the root. Because people were either not diagnosed or were misdiagnosed, which we always do in our country, on this continent. We have CBC. Tell me, Betty, how shall we know the competence of a 6-7-year-old child in Kenya? By guesswork?
By using the machine we talked about.
No, forget machine. They're not dealing with any machine. Tell me something. How did they plan it? Because they are not part of that. If you are planning to know the competence of 8-year-olds and they had no means of doing it, it means they are planning to guess it. And how do they guess it? The teachers should observe them. Children, what do you feel like doing? Parents, what do they tell you? That is our way of diagnosis. And then they take into a stream. Take a child to the wrong stream for 6 years. Take many of them. What are you waiting for? What are we waiting for as a country or as a continent? Already suffering from the problems which you see visibly from the youth. What are you waiting for? I must tell you, the youth of this country must redefine who they are, must rediscover who they are. The way to rediscover yourself is to think like a guy who went to a university, didn't feel for that course anyway, but the parents and the uncles couldn't let him leave it to go do something else. So he used his pocket money to buy a camera. He went to Uhuru Park, took some of the best shots for the guys hanging out there. Guys took numbers. Shortly, they posted on YouTube. He earned millions of viewers. Big TV stations had to drop people from big universities with big qualifications and went for this guy because his shots are just amazing. You understand what I'm talking? If such a guy met me earlier, and you should see our YouTube and see the testimonials, people who thought they were nothing, and we found something with them, including people born without growth hormones. The power of knowing human metrics. What will you do? We're a country, we're talking competence. We have autistic people. We have people with cerebral palsy. When you talk competence in Kenya, where do they fall? Unless we review and we rethink as a country, as a continent, where we're heading with our learning and social fabric, the things we keep talking, keep complaining, will keep coming. Any young person who was listening to me today, any parent who was listening to me, it starts with the first journey. You can't ask this question. What do I do when I'm this and this? It's like asking, what do I do when my foot is swollen? What do I do when I have this kind of sickness? What do I do? And I've tried this and that. And somebody's telling you, you need to go for this test so that we confirm the sickness before any medication. That's my summary of the answer. That point, that guy running for being, they started what's called the Youth Fund. And I was there with them. Right now, I'm going to work with the Youth Fund and correct something. When you tell guys, have a proposal, come 10 of you. We have money from the government. These are broke guys. Do you know the guys are hustling? Then, proposal in a River Road, instant, cash hour. Then guys will rush to Youth Fund like a jet and present, and they must create, this is theirs. The moment they get the money, just go back to the guy and say, do you hear them again? Let me ask you, Betty. Those guys come, they are going to form a band of music. Do you hear what happened in the bands? After a short while, the bands collapsed. What happened? The guys didn't have a sync. But think about a situation where and you've assessed a guy who can play a bass guitar. And you keep that in a database. Guys who can sing, you keep that in a database. People can manage a band. People can do various aspects to make it work. So that with the touch of a button, you query Omolo from Siaya, Cheriot from Nandi Hills, Koyet from Narok, and then for management of the band, you look for Kamau from Muranga because you have like organize na manage do. Then, and with proven scientific result, do you know how far we could go as a country?
Prof, those people who are already in this industry, how are they able to assess right now and know whether they are in the right place or they are just about to fall? Because a lot of people are misplaced. As I hear you, that's what I hear. A lot of people are misplaced. And I don't think it's ever too late to correct something. So those who are already in the industry, they are struggling with singing and acting.
Yes.
Is there a way they can actually check and refocus or redirect their passion or talent?
Very good. In fact, I want to make your question better. With the assessment, sometimes you're not badly off. You could actually be within it because it doesn't check one gene of talent. It takes a multiplicity of genes of, for example, for me to be a good comedian, it's not just a matter of putting out there. Jokes can be scarce, you know.
Yes.
I have to know that I am also self-managing. I must have that as well. I must know how to connect with people who can support, and I have to have the etiquette to impress them. It's a multiplicity of things. So sometimes out of the sets, the report is given, we find your dominant values, and we find the missing links. That missing link sometimes does not have to be within you. You might need somebody else with that gene to work with you for you to succeed. And again, as I said before, I'm going to work with the National Youth Fund. And this, because the problem there is money to a number of youth. The default rate is heading to 50%.
Wow.
So why did you lend the money? Not working.
Make more.
What went wrong? When you look deeply, it's not sometimes, mostly it's not the fault of these young people. Some of them are really trying hard in what they see successful in others. Some part of the group is struggling genuinely, some part they're wasting time. And so I have to go and bring the zest in it to try and bring it, what is called the creative potential in them, and spine it up. That's how we shall grow one unit that will be able to support thousands of others. And as long as you can do just 50 units of them, then you can see how we can spring up. And that's why I started by saying, Kenya, Korea, they are the same. That is a political statement. They borrow when I'm saying. You know? But what does it mean? It doesn't work by saying, I'm no longer going to import a nail from China. Well, the nail you're making here using so much money, it doesn't make sense. You know, you got to have the latent potential to see it different. That's why the Korean now will start buying from you. And as long as they're not buying from you, how do you make the money? Doesn't make sense. That's just a tidbit of what I want to do with the National Youth Fund. Of course, I'm going to reassess them. And therefore, it's up to them to go to our website. It is free of charge during this COVID time. We're assessing for free until September. Why don't they? Yes, for free until September 30th. They find their chance in there. It's online. You feed up your information. We pick you up. You invite you to our nearest location to you. We're located. We have access center in Mombasa. We got Nyamira. We got Kisumu. We got Nakuru. We're moving very quickly to graduate, you know, so that people don't need to come to Nairobi. Of course, Nairobi, you have many locations, you know. Once you're able to do this, at least know for yourself, where do I start my talent? You don't need to pay anything for that. With that power information, you can make very informed decision. And we're doing this by the support of the World Talent Federation, supporting our staff with money under COVID times. We also have programs for people in the slums, people who are unable to pay in the rural areas. As I'm right now, I'm in Kisumu, and I have a parent who is coming all the way from Kitale to see me. You know, when you're a parent and you have a problem, you live and go to India. And we're trying as much as possible to reach these people. And one of the ways to reach people is to make the service online so that people can be able to. I know finance can be a barrier. And that's why I requested our headquarters to remove the finances at this point in time so that many people can have access. Of course, they can. The World Talent Federation might find somebody who had no idea that they're gifted in Tana River.
Wow. I like that which you're doing, Prof. It's a very great development. I think if that is well done, it's going to change this country a big deal. Because like you have said, parents can really be stressed when they have their children who are maybe not doing well in school and they don't know how to find them the right thing to do, or they don't know how to place them, even in academics. I'm glad to hear that for now you have opened this assessment. It is free. I wonder what exactly the assessment entails, whether it is something medical or something that is just done physically. And now that it's free, and you have also mentioned the many centers where this is done, who exactly is eligible for this? Can you take, like you mentioned, 4 or 5 years old, up to what age? And people who are already in some kind of talent doing something, or people who are in school and are struggling to make the right career choices, who exactly is supposed to fit in this assessment?
Actually, you answered it. The question you asked is the answer. You know,
Mm-hmm.
age 4 is what is ideal to start. Safely, age 5,
Yes.
age 6 is very good. And that conforms very well with our learning systems. Most people
Mm-hmm.
learning systems at age 6. That
Mm-hmm.
is very good. I'm a parent. My child is starting school. Doesn't cost me much. Why don't I just know what my child would ultimately be good in so that I know where to put my money, time,
Exactly.
and effort? My
Yes.
son, my daughter, is exiting class
Mm-hmm.
8 or grade
Mm-hmm.
6. I
Mm-hmm.
am making a choice which stream to go to because the government said they are competent, but I don't know how to get that competent. You might find this very useful for you to just make sense of where you're
Mm-hmm.
going next. But now this is crucial.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I did not get the right grades. And even if I got them, I don't feel
Mm-hmm.
anything in there. I have getting these strange things in my office.
Mm-hmm.
They look up the entire course booklet, nothing fits them.
Mm-hmm.
I told you about a poet. There will be no poet in most of our polytechnics and our universities. There's no course
No.
called a degree in that. But that's what I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
You have a chance here, I'll find it because our learning system is talent based. It's not in the four walls of a
Mm-hmm.
classroom. Doesn't mean they're bad. I could refer you, they're actually there. In fact, out of a talent assessment, we produce a talent report and a learning prescription. So you'll evolve
Mm-hmm.
through your natural, God given prescription. You should see what that
Mm-hmm.
is. It could entail even a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of the academics because still part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I find you're a musician. I will have your dominant factors working, recording music on dry riverbeds. I'll spend my time in your dominance. The prescription will say, I will spend my dominance on verbal linguistic if you are a poet. I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've many we've done that with.
Yes.
This is very vital for this country. This is very
I
vital
think so.
for this
Yes.
continent because that is what is going to leapfrog us to make us reach at par with these guys. I'm talking as the World Talent Federation Secretary General. Though I'm an African, I go to nearly all countries and I see what they're doing, and I'm part of the international research, and we know what's going on. And in the future, did you know, Betty, away
Yes.
from this machine can do a lot more things. It can
Mm-hmm.
clothe you 20 years from now. If I have your metrics and you stay in the same location, eating the same food, I
Mm-hmm.
finally can tell what you will be in 20 years. That is what they call the avatar. Okay? So a lot of things can be done when you know human values.
I
You
wonder who
do.
invented that machine.
Oh, let me give you the history. It's very stupid.
Another
It's
professor. We
during
may
World
not
War
have
II.
time to. We may not have time, Prof, to go to the history and that. I can get
Yes,
that in person if I'm interested.
yes,
But
correct.
right now,
Thank
my
you.
interest is in shaping the future for our children. Right now, Prof, if you look at what's happening, like everyone is going into online something to make
Yes,
a shilling, to make a
yes,
living
right.
because of the COVID situation now. If you
Yes,
cannot go to the office and if you cannot go and do your art, your
yes,
craft in
yes,
performing, you cannot gather an audience and do
yes,
something to entertain them, then now
right.
you resort to doing something online to make
Yes,
a coin to survive,
yes, yes, yes,
but if I know precisely what I am made of,
yes,
what craft is in me, and what
yes,
I can exhibit very well, then I
yes,
can pursue that that,
Yes.
I can follow that
Yes.
with all my heart. And you didn't tell me if the musicians who are already doing that and people who are already in acting, those who are already even in 40, unfortunately, people even get up to 40 and they have never discovered their purpose. They have
Even
just been living, trying this and trying that. I don't know
right.
if such people are also welcome to do and take the assessment
Oh,
and
yes.
how that helps them. Yes.
We don't have a limit in age. It starts from age 4, better from age 6, goes until even 80 something. Remember, an adult who is gifted is far better than 1,000 youth who are not gifted. I tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
The adult also has life achievement and work experience. In fact, the government of the Republic of Kenya and any African country
Mm-hmm.
is missing the point. They are over depending. The youth is the future. I have
Mm-hmm.
40-year-old, 50-year-old who are highly creative. Did you know that? Highly creative adults that are being ignored and have got even the resources to do it. What do we do with them? We have a system known as a matrix system, which deals with the mature talent matriculation for adults.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you find a guy who dropped out in class 2 and has built his company using his natural God wiring. This is the guy KU sent their master's degree students for internship, and he signs that they're good enough to graduate. But when he goes to KU, he's reminded he doesn't have a good purpose. The education doesn't make sense then. With this system called Matric, we evaluate and we find your prior credits as an adult.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The report we produce eliminates the need for a result slip to join a degree program.
Mm-hmm.
And you earn exemptions because the report produced can equate course units and modules with your learning based on experience. Coupled with your natural talent, this fellow could potentially produce 2 more companies which can employ thousands. We need to think about that. So there's no age limit. For the youth and the guys who are already doing something, you mentioned online, the very fact they're doing something in music, the very fact that they're doing something in comedy means there's something in there.
Mm-hmm.
Probably maybe the right genre, the right specialization has found.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to navigate, and Corona has taught us, if you are a pretender in the industry, you cannot be creative enough to navigate because the people who have got the natural talent, they will still work like Yalango, even if it is online. That's a fact.
Yes.
The people who went to join the bandwagon are already suffering and saying, we've closed shop. So the online platform is just a platform. Your natural God wiring is the one going to carry you through. Just like we had air here and medium to attract people to come. If you're creative enough, you should have had that pattern. And that's why we say again, it doesn't cost a thing for you to come, be assessed, and you know your innate potentials so that you know, if I were to go online, now that we have Corona, and which has destroyed the way I knew to do it, how then can I use my natural God wiring to do something different and earn a living? Just knowing it's not too bad.
I like
And
what
that
you
can say
mentioned.
across the divide.
I like what you mentioned about the students, the master students who are going for internship to this student and is qualifying them.
Yes.
A lot of people who are doing their own stuff today are not following up their passion, or rather what they studied in school.
Yes.
And this is really unfortunate. We have seen students who have been to the finance class, and after their graduation, they hand over the certificates to their parents and say, this is what you wanted. Here, you got it. I'm out to do my own, I like to do pastry. I like to do film. I like to do this. So we have a lot of this happening. You find people who are very good in certain crafts, and all they say is, this is not what I studied in school. So when I listen to you, I actually agree that when people get to do that assessment, then this can is going to change big time. I want to really appreciate you for that great job that you are doing. I would like to give you this time, because you're out of time, to tell us where you are located, how we can reach you, because I believe a lot of people would want to get this information and would want to know more about the content that is entailed in this kind of assessment, so that they get into what they already know and make informed decisions, as you already advised earlier.
Very good.
Mhm.
Well, in Nairobi, we are located off Gong Road near
Mhm.
Junction. I'll give you contacts. In Kisumu, we are located just in a place called Nyamasaria, which is
Mhm.
just less than 10 minutes off the CBD of Kisumu,
Mhm.
at the former DALK University, now the University of Talent,
Mhm.
which actually I'm the proprietor. Okay.
Okay. Mhm.
Um, if you go to Mombasa, you go to Swahili Port Hub, which is near Fort Jesus. You should be able to find us there. If
Mhm.
you go to Nakuru, you'd find us at Serene Education Center
Mhm.
at Micha, it's called Micha Plaza, at the heart of the CBD of Nakuru. But much easier to reach us online
Mhm.
by sending an email to info at giftedafrica, giftedafrica.com.
All right.
Info at giftedafrica.com. You may also give us a phone call.
Mhm.
You can call us on 0708 80 50 70. 0708 80 50 70. That should give you a quick um, reach out to me, and then I should be able to set you off to the relevant people who can be able to deal with your case where your location is. For the website, which I know because there's an online link to the website, it is giftedafrica.com. Giftedafrica.com. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you for the a lot of information that you have given to us, and even extra education that you have given unto us. It was very good to host a professor and hear exactly what's happening on the ground, and hear also where we are making mistakes and where we are going wrong, and why even as parents people are really struggling with their children. We were actually able to find out many of those answers as we listen to you, Prof. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Kindly give to our viewers your last words, even as we wrap up this show.
If you are a learner intending to join any learning system right now, and you've never done your prior diagnosis of talent, because it's from talent that you form a career. Careers are formed from the talent. Then you'll not be very different. If you've not done that, you'll not be different from a person swimming in the ocean without a destination. If you are a parent who's planning to invest in his son or daughter in terms of education, and you've not done this assessment or equivalent to know, so that you can focus the career of your child and know where to put your time, money, and effort, then you'll not be very different from any businessman investing in a business without a business plan. If you're a government that is providing scholarship to learners without any prior diagnosis, as was mentioned, if you're a teacher teaching any child today without knowing what that child can learn or what that child will never learn because you have no prior diagnosis, then you're not very different from a doctor who provides an injection without any medical review. Thank you.
Wow. That was such an excellent summary. Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank
It
you. My
was
pleasure.
it was a good time. It was really a good time. I appreciate. Thank you so much, viewer. I hope that you have been educated even in the areas you had no idea of, and you have taken note of that address and that link and the place where you need to go and have yourself or your child assessed, so that you are not just living life, but you are doing that which you should do correctly. Thank you so much. My name is Betty. I have been your host. See you next time.
Eko Mziki right here on your #1 TV station, GBS TV. My good name is Hypola the Experience. You can call me Moja Sa. Ukumazel the best TV ever. Lafu shoni gani Eko Mziki SMS line 21144.
Tunakuchezea zile ngoma mpya zenye zimekuwa zikitokea hii wiki.